What's going on, everybody? It is Juan from Raven Drone Solutions here with another video. So today's video is titled, You Better Be Ready to Do the Work. Now, I'm talking more specifically on drone service providers, not just drone pilots, because in reality, as drone pilots, it kind of coincides with being a drone service provider. There's a lot more work to it than just flying. Now, granted, drone service providers have a lot. It's a higher tier because you're not just flying the drone. You're a business. But the thing is, a lot of us drone pilots, we operate as our own drone service provider company. So it kind of goes hand in hand. But anyway, one of the things that I've talked about in another video is that one of the main reasons why a lot of drone pilots don't really make any substantial amount of money is because a lot of us, unfortunately, are lazy, or because we do this as a side hustle and we don't really dedicate as much time to this. But one of the things that I got to point out is the fact that as a drone service provider, you really have to be willing to work on almost any given day. As a matter of fact, today it's Easter Sunday, and I'm working. I have one shoot that I got to do for a client that he gave me 4 different properties. I already did 3 of them a couple weeks ago, and this property that was it was getting repainted and I think they were putting new sidewalk or whatever. It just got done, so I'm like, okay, we can get it done now. But it's Easter Sunday, and I also have to do a cell tower inspection on that's located inside school grounds, and they told me, well, you can't fly during the week. You're gonna have to do it on the weekend. These are things that you just got to deal with as a drone service provider. And these are things that a lot of people don't tell you about, because there's a lot of these, like the job companies, like the drone job companies, like Drone Base or whatever. A lot of times they'll tell you, well, you only work when you want to work, right? It sounds fantastic, and if you work X amount of hours, if you do this and this and this, you could be making 6 figures in the first year. Okay, there's a lot more work to that than people think. And not only that, but just in general, when you're doing this line of work, as much as you want to say that you can work on your own time, on your own schedule, you do this, you do this, you do that, well, it also depends on the client and what they want. And a lot of times people don't talk about that. Like, for example, this client that I have for the real estate, they wanted the parking lots more or less empty. They didn't want to have a full parking lot with a bunch of activity. They wanted things to be when it's for the most part quiet. That's why the last two shoots that I did for these people, I did it on a Sunday, because there's less things going around. There's less activity, and less chances of anybody screwing up my shots. But look, the thing is, you got to be ready to do the work. You got to be ready to put in the hours. You got to be ready to go the days that you might not want to go, because at the end of the day, if you don't do it, somebody else will. One of the things that one of my friends that I made here when I started doing the hurricane relief stuff, he got me into cell towers, and he basically told me, it's like, look, man, a lot of people they're not willing to do the work. They don't understand that this requires a lot out of them. And then the other thing is that you got to be willing to be away from home for quite a bit, especially when you're doing the industrial stuff, like industrial inspections, or even, like, let's just say you got very well connected and you're on a movie set or for a TV show or whatever. Well, you're still going to be away from home for quite a bit, unless if it's in your hometown. Like unless if it's something shot here in Miami. Dude, I got to travel. Well, not a lot of people are willing to do that. Not a lot of people want to be away from their spouses for a good amount of time. And one thing my friend told me, he was like, yeah, dude, look, in this line of work, either be single or have a very supportive spouse, because, a lot of times that's what's going to have to happen. Now this really depends on your individual situation and basically, like, how you're structured. Especially, like I said, in the startup phase, it's a lot of work you got to put in. And I've met some people that didn't have to work as hard as I did, because of the fact that they already had the connections, they already knew a lot of people, or they already had a profession, and all they did was just kind of pivot a little bit. They didn't really have to do a whole lot else. But other people like me, other drone service providers, well, we kind of started from scratch, and we also started with a lot of people telling us no. I mean, I've had a lot of people reject my pitch. I've had a lot of people say, no thanks, we don't want your services, I appreciate it, whatever. And it's just something you got to deal with, and that's fine. And I'm going to do other videos on regarding this particular topic. But, you know, the thing is, if you're not willing to do the work, if you're not willing to go the days that, you know, are uncomfortable, or, you know, then you're not really going to make it very far. I've had people ask me, well, Juan, when do you actually, like, take a break? When do you actually have a day off? And the fact is, I rarely have any days off, especially because it's still very new. I mean, I've only been in this for about a year, just a little over a year. And yeah, the thing is, even though I'm not flying every day, as a matter of fact, flying only consists like 20% of your total mission. And I am going to do a video on this in particular, but yeah, it's there's a lot of things you got to do if you want if you want to have things run smoothly, and if you really want to have like an attractive website and all these other things. Well, that takes time and effort and money as well. That's money out of your pocket that you gotta spend. So yeah, if you're not willing to do the work, this might not be the best industry for you to be in, because it is a lot of work. It is a lot of effort. It is a lot of time that you got to spend on it. And, you know, I mean, there's times that I go like a good 2 weeks, 3 weeks without really having any real day off where I'm not thinking or talking about work. I mean, it almost seems like I'm in this uniform every day because, I mean, it's like that. I'm constantly working. I'm constantly out doing stuff. You know, I'm trying to find new clients. I'm trying to perfect my flying. I'm trying to learn something different. So I mean, there are times where I'm on YouTube and I'm researching. I'm doing a lot of market research as well. Also because I want to make myself stand out and not do the same thing that everybody else is doing. So yeah, and then also just with the market research on your pricing and everything. I mean, these are all things you gotta think about. And yeah, like I said, nobody really tells you about these things. Nobody tells you how much work really goes into doing this line of work. Nobody tells you that, hey, listen, you got to be willing to work weekends. You got to be willing to work holidays. You got to be willing to, to do the work that a lot of people don't really want to do, because everybody wants everything instantaneously, and that's just not the way it works. That's not reality. So yeah, so those are my thoughts on this topic. A lot of people don't like the fact that you really got to do a lot of work to succeed, but at the end of the day, this is what's going to separate you from your competition. And if you're not willing to do the work, then this might not be the best thing for you. So yeah, those are just my thoughts on the topic. All right, guys, let me know what you think down in the comments. Any one of these, subscribe down below, share if you have any thoughts, and I'll see you